Hi everyone. So sorry for the delay. My internet is not happy today. So I'm on here as soon as I can be. Welcome. Thank you for being here today. It's our last day today, which is exciting for me. Maybe not exciting for you guys, but it's good to take a break and get to the end of things. So welcome, welcome. Let me know who's here. I'm just kind of getting organized. Let me put myself over in the corner. So hello, hello. Good to see everyone. So welcome. Hi, Jean. Hello. How are things in Massachusetts with COVID? My friend in Massachusetts had her baby on Friday, which was very exciting. So I know she was very stressed about going to the hospital in the midst of this pandemic, but she's home now and the baby's good, so that's great. Welcome to everyone else who is joining us. Smaller group today, but that's okay. It's Friday. I'm super, super excited it's Friday. So thank you for being here, those of you who are here. I see Jane from the Mendel JCC, West Hartford, Connecticut. Jane, I hope you were able to get, I know a couple weeks ago you were looking for HEPA filters for your masks. So I hope you were able to get some of those. And I don't know when you're opening, if it's soon or you still have a little bit of time. I'm not sure if Connecticut is like New Jersey, New York, if it's still pretty hard there for COVID cases, but hopefully you were able to find those masks. I see Sandra's here from West Virginia. So interesting, I've actually been to West Virginia quite a bit. My husband's kids live outside of DC in Martinsburg, West Virginia, which is obviously not indicative of all of West Virginia, but have spent quite a bit of time there actually. And we go to, what is the little town? There's a small town we like to go to, Shepherdstown. We love going to Shepherdstown and the sweet shop bakery there, as well as the German restaurant is really great there. So welcome. I see Angela's here from Oakland, Maryland. Hi, Angela. Andrea's here from North Vancouver. So hopefully the weather in Vancouver is not too bad today. We had crazy rain yesterday and Wednesday, pouring down all day, but the grass here near me really, really needs it. It's been super, super dry, but it seems like our spring, our April, is now in May that we're getting all of this rain. No rain yet, but Vancouver is known for rain like Seattle off of the backside of the Rocky Mountains. So definitely a warmer climate there as well as lots of rain. So if you're just coming in, say hi. This is our last webinar, so it's good to kind of do the things we've been doing, repeat them one last time. Jane is saying in Connecticut, hope to open in July, receive the HEPA filters from watersafety.com. So hopefully you get those. I've heard lots of great things. I believe it was watersafety.com also had one of the new training masks that Kelly Martinez mentioned in her show. Oh, geez, that was a while ago. Back in April, middle of April, she was looking at the big masks, the training masks with the spacer to practice respirations. So haven't seen them in person, but I did see them online after she mentioned them in her session. So no rain in Vancouver, which is great. No sunshine necessarily though either, it's gray. I see Ben here from Toronto. So Ben did a session back in April for us, so talking about how he started his business. And I saw, Ben, that you've started offering virtual babysitting courses. So I hope those go well with the Canadian Red Cross. That's amazing to be able to offer an option for youth and families, especially as we head into summer. And City of Toronto is not doing any camps this summer. The Ontario Camps Association, the OCA, just announced that there's no sleepaway summer camps this summer for them from their accredited members. So it's going to be really tough for parents this summer to get into month 3, 4, 5, maybe even 6 of this physical isolation, working from home, trying to juggle, everybody in the house at the same time. So great to have an option like online babysitting or something like that. So if you're just coming in, say hello, let me know who's here. I don't scroll through the attendee box as much as I wish I could. There's just too many names, and I have a hard time multitasking. Even after all of these webinars, I like to keep it simple and focus on the part of the chat box that I can see because it rolls very quickly. So I see Elizabeth here from Virginia. Colm is here from Farmington, Minnesota. So good representation from all over Canada and the US. Let me know where you're from. What are you up to this weekend? It's Memorial Day in the US. We had our big long weekend here in Canada last weekend, Victoria Day. I didn't really do anything because we had the webinar on Monday, and that was just fine by me because it was a little bit depressing not to have those normal long weekend traditions. The last couple long weekends, I've always gone hiking, and we're not allowed to go to the mountains yet here in Alberta, but it's discouraged. The national parks are still closed. Some of the provincial parks have reopened, but there are no bathrooms. There are no public areas that you're supposed to be using. So I haven't gone out to the mountains yet this year, and it's pretty sad. But I'm hopeful by July we should be, it should be better for physical distancing and hiking. I have to get some new hiking boots, so that's also kept me out of the mountains. I see Stephanie's here from Casper, Wyoming. Renee, I'm just looking at your comments. So thank you, Renee. Thank you so much for your nice comment. Yes, there's so many Zoom calls. Don't worry. This is not, go to whatever Zoom call you have to be on. There are so many of them. Every state, every province, every sponsoring agency seems to have one. So this is a great opportunity for us, for me to bow out and take a break and focus on the other things that I'm working on. So I appreciate your support, Renee. And Jill White, so Starfish. So she offered 2 links. So Jill should be pretty easy to find, or their emails. The Starfish emails are very, very easy. I think it's just first name dot last name at starguardelite.com. Let me open up my email. I have emailed with Wes before, so I should be able to tell you what their standard Starfish/Starguard email address is. One moment. I've looked in the past at going on the Starguard Elite. They do an aquatics camp every February. That's always kind of been on my bucket list. So I was emailing with Wes last year about the camp that just happened in February that Joey Rusnak attended. Actually, the timing didn't work out for me for this year. So I'm hopeful in a future year I can make that happen, because it would be really neat to spend a couple days with, they do a 5-day cruise with lots of lectures, and you can meet other people. So yes, it's just first name dot last name at starguardelite.com. So let me put that in the chat box. My guess, Jane, is it's just going to be jill.white at starguardelite.com. And then if that bounces back, they may have a Starfish Aquatic Institute email, but actually, let me look. Do I have an email from Jill? I was emailing with someone else from Starguard a while ago, and so I would just try that to contact Jill, or I know she's also on Facebook, so you could message her through Facebook. So Colleen is here from Portland, Maine. I see Taryn from Putnam, Connecticut. I see Glenn is here from Hawaii. Hello, Glenn. So anybody else who's just jumping in, let me know where you're from. This is the last time that we're doing this, so it's nice to see kind of who's here, who's been here. I see Debbie is here from UC Santa Barbara. Debbie, I meant to tell you, I don't know if you know, we had Drew Yorkie on from one of the UC schools back in April. So I don't know if you got connected through him or if you found us independently. Catherine's here from Saskatoon. We've got Erica from Kingston, Mandy from Canmore. Mandy, I did email you back. I don't know if you got that this morning. Kate's here from Dublin, Ohio. John's here from SUNY Delhi. Welcome. I see Jamie's here from Kansas. So welcome those of you who are here. We'll get started just in a couple minutes. I don't know about you, but I always, I'm relying on my phone right now to buzz so I remember things. On Tuesday, was it Tuesday? Monday or Tuesday, I thought I had the whole afternoon free. So I was just hanging out on the couch. I was just kind of lazing about, enjoying my day, and my phone buzzed and I ignored it. And then it buzzed again and I looked and it said I had, at that point I had 2 minutes until a web meeting that I had completely forgotten about. So it's, I don't know if anyone else struggles with this right now, but I'm trying to use my Google Calendar more because I am on my phone. I found that my 2020 calendar, if anybody else is a paper calendar person, I haven't even opened it since March, right? I have very few things that I've actually recorded in my calendar. And so then when I do have places to be, I seem to forget. So next week I have a couple conference calls and I had to put them in my Google Calendar. Otherwise I'm just going to forget, right? The week gets away from me. So I am excited to not have the webinars Monday, Wednesday, Friday, because it is a little bit too much structure for me right now. But it is, I do need to remember what day of the week it is and where I need to be. So I know a lot of people come to these webinars a few minutes after the hour because we have to go, oh, shoot, what time is it? Where do I need to be? So welcome. I see Jamie's here from Kansas. Thank you, John, for your feedback about the webinars. I'm so glad that you've enjoyed them. It's been great having them. It's been great having the recordings. I know yesterday I did some statistics for updating my speaker package, and I hadn't realized how many views the webinars have. So all of the webinars since March 23rd are on our YouTube channel. And when I looked yesterday, or maybe even Tuesday, sorry, the days all rolled together, we were up to 98,000 minutes of view time, which is crazy, right? That's almost 1,800 hours that people have watched the webinars. So that really speaks to, I think, people's interest in education, as well as being able to watch them at their convenience. So certainly the live format right now that you guys are here for, it's great for me. I love that it's great for you guys in the chat box. But realistically, as we head into summer with swimming pools that are either opening on short notice with massive new restrictions, or whether we're talking, just preparing for the fall, preparing for school, preparing new budgets, preparing strategic planning. I mean, we don't have a lot of time to block out 6 hours a week, because honestly, these webinars end up being almost 2 hours, right? An hour for the speaker, 30 minutes for me with the pre-show if you tune in, and then Q&A. That's 6 hours a week out of your 40-hour work week. So I'm so touched, those of you that have been here, but I know that at this point, we all need a little bit of a break. So welcome. I see Christine here from Las Vegas. Thank you, Karen. Thank you so much for your kind words. Glenn saying it's great to stay connected. I absolutely agree. I think it's been so great to meet so many new faces. I just finished a CPO class this morning with someone from New Jersey, and it was great to think, okay, the next time I go to New York City, who knows when that will be exactly, but if I want to take the train out to Newark, I now know somebody in Newark and at a facility that I'm interested to visit. So it's really great to see all of your faces, to see all these different waypoints on the map. So Vegas, Connecticut, Maine, Saskatchewan, Ontario. Joan's here from Santa Cruz. Thank you so much for your feedback. I see Victor's got a link. I don't know, Victor, if you can let us know what that's for. Then, oh, the starfish, perfect. The starfish link, that's great. So I will open that up so I have it for later. There was a question earlier for Jill's resources. Corey's here from Oshawa, Whitby. So welcome, and great to also, yes, to connect with so many different people. I'm gonna put in the chat box one last time the networking drive. So I haven't shared it in a while because it didn't seem to be catching on. Not as many people seem to have a desire to use it as the initial interest. So let me just scroll back. So this was the networking drive that we created about 2 months ago when people were interested in connecting. So if you would like to add your information and then later today go download a copy, We will keep this up on the internet maybe for another month. I'm not going to keep it up forever because it's, you know, a specific point in time. But if you want to go in there now, add your contact information if you haven't already. Please be aware that it is an open source document, so anybody has access to it for the next month while it's still posted. But it is a resource for you to go and find other people. It's sorted by location. So both in Canada, we have different regions, and then in the United States, we have different regions. So please make sure you go to the bottom of the page and you scroll across for the different regions, and do not just put all of your contact information on the first page. Okay, we have Western Canada, Central Canada, Eastern Canada. We have the East Coast of the US, the Pacific Northwest, the Southwest, right? Make sure you find your location. New Jersey, yes, I'll have to swing over Petty Aquatic Center. I see you guys on Facebook all the time. So great to see you. I love that you think I'm calm and reasonable. I've been very much just me. And it's funny because sometimes it drives my husband crazy. He's very, he was in the Army, so he's very kind of set in a certain way. And he sometimes thinks that my calm is that I don't care. And my calm is just, one of my parents was very high strung growing up. So I don't need fuss. You know, we do what we do. I mean, the ceiling could be caving in, the sky could be falling in. All we can do is what we can do, right? We just drive on, we keep going. So I see Rick is here from UC Santa Barbara as well. Marilyn's here, welcome. Gretna's here from Toronto. Marilyn's from Owen Sound. County College of Morris in New Jersey, welcome. So we've got lots of New Jersey people today. I'll put a couple links in the chat and then we'll get started. It's just me today, so there are no special presenters. First thing I do want to put in the chat box is I'm super excited. Your odds, you guys, right now are very good. There's only 55 people in the webinar. Master Pools of Alberta, it's called Master Pools. They are giving away 2 $100 Amazon gift cards to webinar participants today. And so you guys who are live, you are eligible to win. It's only going to be live participants. So I'm going to put a link in the chat box. It is on Facebook today. I know there's been a lot of people who've said, Instagram, why is it always on Instagram? I don't like Instagram. So I've listened to what you said, and today's prize is for from Facebook. And so there are 2 posts on Facebook. If you can go on and comment on one or both, I will select 2 winners randomly at the end of this webinar, not in live time. I'll do it 10 minutes after I close the webinar, and I'll post to Facebook. And they have said that they will give out 2 $100 Amazon gift cards to anybody who wins. And that's, you can buy some groceries, you can buy some whatever, school supplies, makeup, do whatever you want to do. So there's 2 different posts. Let me post them as 2 different links. And just so that we're clear, if you can't win on both posts, right? I'll make sure it's not the same person on both posts. But if you can go on one of those posts or both, if you want to increase your odds, and you need to tag 3 friends in one of our certified operator courses. So there's an Imperial link and then there's a metric link. You can use either, but go on there, like the post, tag 3 people, and that will enter you to win. And then 10 minutes after I finish this session, we'll randomly select 2 people, and Master Pools Alberta will donate 2 gift cards, so 1 to each person for $100 to spend on Amazon, which is amazing. I'm so thankful they reached out to me and offered to do this. They don't, and this is great too about them as a sponsor, they don't want a whole song and dance. They just wanted to say thank you to me for doing these webinars. They found them very valuable, and they knew that it was beneficial to the community, and they wanted to be involved by just doing a giveaway. And I said, well, people need cash right now. People need basics, right? So Amazon is good for anyone, anywhere. Okay, so those are your 2 posts. If you'd like to enter, tag 3 friends, and that'll get you an entry into the giveaway. So your odds are really good right now, you guys. There's only, like I said, 55 people, so that's pretty good odds. A couple other things I'm going to put in the chat box, and then I'll wait a little bit so it doesn't move too far down. We have a survey. So I've been doing the survey in many of the show notes throughout the show over the last 2 months. And so if you have any final feedback you'd like to give me after today's webinar or in general about the webinars, the data is very helpful to me as a business owner in the future, looking at different ways that we're going to continue on with POOLaide and different initiatives for the aquatics community. So I'm pinning right now in the chat box the survey. If you have 5 minutes at the end of today's show, you go in and pop in some information. That's really helpful to me. Any point, if you want to just connect with me directly, you can contact us through our website. I'll give you that link in a little bit. But for right now, we'll just jump into what I have prepared because there's been some different questions about me. So thank you for being here, everyone. Those of you who don't know me, for recordings posterity, my name is Katie Crysdale. This is the last POOLaide webinar that we've been doing during the COVID-19 pandemic. So thank you to everyone who has joined us. When I looked this morning in Click Meeting, we've had 1,578 unique participants from over 10 countries, including places such as France, Saudi Arabia, Japan, Cuba, Grand Cayman, South Korea, the United Kingdom, Germany, France. Like, there's been a great response, as well as I think almost every US state. The only one I'm not sure about is Alaska, and I'm going to check the statistics. And every Canadian province, I'm certain we've had covered, except for maybe Nunavut territory. But the response has been great. Thank you so much for being here. And as I mentioned earlier, any of the shows that you've missed or any of the shows that you liked, everything is on YouTube. So you can go to our YouTube channel, subscribe for new updates as we come out with new content this summer. You can follow us on YouTube and get notified when we publish new things. Or if you're putting together an in-service for your staff, remotely or in person, or perhaps a leadership course, and you want to show a snippet of a video, add it to your playlist. Okay, all of the recordings are not going away. They're not going behind a paywall. They will exist. So if you want to show a 10-minute clip of Kelly Martinez in 6 months, great. If you want to show a 10-minute clip of Joey Rusnak in 6 months, great. Everything is there. So feel free to add them to your internal instructor playlists with confidence. Go back and you can see the chat box. You can see the show notes. That is a big one that a lot of people don't realize, is that the show notes are all available on our website. So if you're not aware, the show notes always have all of the sources shared by the presenters, including the slides, as well as different links discussed in the chat box, and things like, for example, today, the starfish link. I'll make sure that that's shared. Okay, so I'm going to jump into, we had questions. So I put together a Padlet. So I'll show you guys because it was new to me. It's pretty awesome. Padlet is a website. I'm just going to share my screen to show you. So this is an example. This is called Padlet.com. So this is a collaboration tool that somebody connected me with about 2 weeks ago. I will be using this for courses going forward. It's a great way to have teams collaborate through posting different content, photos, sharing, chatting, all of these different things. So thank you to those of you that filled in the Padlet. I've got those questions on a PowerPoint for today. And I'll just go through them, and then at the end, if anybody here still has questions, you can pop them in the chat box. I'll try and answer them, and then I'll just kind of recap where we're at, and that will be it for today. So I will apologize up front. I'm a bit of a talker if you didn't know that. So I'm not going to be here for 4 hours, but some of the questions that you guys sent me are quite large. So I will do my best to address them in a way that's purposeful. But if I go on a side tangent, that is why. So first question I got was, what are some of the most common mistakes by pool manager and operators? So obviously this is a very large question, and I'm cautious about speaking in broad strokes, but generally speaking, when I'm visiting pool managers or operators at their facility, the biggest thing I see is that people lack confidence in their training as well as confidence in their abilities to make the right decision about the swimming pool. So I run into so many aquatic facility managers. So those of you in this chat right now who have decades of professional training, you have formal education from different lifeguarding organizations, from different educational institutions in recreation, in fitness, in lifestyle management. You have practical experience, you have webinars you've taken, conferences you've attended, and you don't own it. So what I mean by that is projecting that confidence in a workplace that you are the authority and you know what you're talking about. And that is different from being very overbearing and very controlling and being unwilling to learn and listen. But I think you need to navigate a balance. I run into so many pool managers who are very lacking in confidence when it comes to how they manage their pool in relation to the recreation facility, in relation to the overarching facility or department that they're a part of. So that's not necessarily what the person was asking. What are the common mistakes? But I do think that inherently not owning your skill set, your confidence, your competence often leads to a lot of mistakes. And so that leads to second guessing yourself, which leads down a whole rabbit trail of potential mistakes, maybe small ones. Oh, well, I'm not sure if we can do this. Let me go and ask, as opposed to let me do the research. Let me ask an industry expert. Let me verify my knowledge against legal standards or organizational practices or codes. And then let me own my decision. Let me do my decision and implement it in a safe and practical way. And then if I make a mistake, or when I do make a mistake, I'm going to own the mistake and we're going to move forward and we're just going to move on with it. So I see a lot of bad decisions when it comes to things such as a poor understanding of HR policy for shift workers, right? Or vacation pay, or chemical compliance when it comes to what is the minimum level of chlorine, or what is the minimum number of hours between staffing shifts, or what is the minimum call out for payroll, right? All of those are small things that are often, in my experience, based on the fact that they're knowledgeable, but they're not actually really confident in their knowledge, which then creates kind of a mess. Okay, so that's kind of a roundabout way of addressing it, but I often feel like a lot of mistakes come from a lack of confidence and come from a lack of just being that person. I heard a really great speaker back in October at World Aquatic Health Conference. So World Aquatic Health Conference. And the speaker's name was Ryan Avery. And he has a talk where he talks about being the. And I subscribe to his email list, and he very much talks about be the speaker, be the leader, be the whatever. And that's perhaps a bit extreme, but it's important that you be confident in what you're doing. Next question was, what are the steps to become a certified pool operator instructor? So I am a certified pool operator instructor with the Pool and Hot Tub Alliance. So Pool Hot Tub Alliance, phta.org. Those of you who are not familiar with Pool and Hot Tub Alliance, it is an amalgamation of the National Swimming Pool Foundation, so NSPF, and the Association of Pool and Spa Professionals, APSP.org. So last year they came together, they formed the Pool and Hot Tub Alliance, and the Certified Pool Operator course that I teach is the old legacy National Swimming Pool Foundation course. It is accredited in 105 countries. It is accredited in all US states, most Canadian provinces. Saskatchewan is kind of the one where there's sometimes some concern, but it is accredited everywhere else and around the world. So the background to how I became a certified pool operator instructor is At my last job, so 2 jobs ago, I became a certified pool operator instructor at the recommendation of my local health inspector, who was herself a CPO instructor. And so, to make a long story short, I recommend that anybody with 2 things consider becoming a certified pool operator instructor. It is not a course for people who do not have pool operations experience, and it is not a course for people who have tons of operating experience, but no teaching experience. You do need to have both. So the process is that you do need to apply to the Pool and Hot Tub Alliance. It is currently a 1 to 2 year waiting list because there is only one training institute every year, and they only accept, I believe, 30 to 35 instructor candidates. And the training school is typically in October at the World Aquatic Health Conference, which is the Pool and Hot Tub Alliance annual conference. And the training school is 3 days. And so in advance of the training school, you will have coursework that you're required to complete, including preparing co-teaches and reviewing the material. You are expected to be CPO certified with the Pool and Hot Tub Alliance for at least 5 years in advance of applying to become an instructor. So you cannot hold a CPO award from another organization, or you cannot hold an AFO, an Aquatic Facility Operator award from another organization. You do need to hold the National Swimming Pool Foundation, now Pool and Hot Tub Alliance award for at least 5 years. Sorry, my flow. You hold the award, and then you go to the school, which is once per year. There is a wait list. So for example, if you were interested in applying, this year's course in October will already be full. You would be applying for 2021. And then you attend the course, and the course is very hard in a good way. So I am an experienced trainer with the Canadian Red Cross and the Lifesaving Society. I have a bachelor's degree and a master's degree. I've been teaching in aquatics and outside of aquatics for many, many years, all ages. And it was a hard instructor school in the best way possible. It really makes me proud to be an instructor because the caliber of instructors coming out of that course in the last 5 to 10 years is amazing. Now, I will tell you that is as a result of some issues they had with quality of instruction in the early 2000s. And so they really beefed up the instructor school. So things you could expect at the instructor school if you meet the prerequisites and you go through the interview process and are accepted are you do need to take the certified pool operator exam without a book, and you do need to get over 90% to pass. So when you take the class with me or any other CPO instructor, you are expected to, you have the book, it's open book. But when you are an instructor, you need to know the resources and you do not have the book, and you do need to pass over 90%, and people did not in my cohort. The other thing you're expected to do is to do 5 to 6 peer teaches of 15 minutes each to the education committee and your colleagues. So that is going to be any other peer teach you've ever done the same way. It is a 15-minute selection that is given to you by the education committee, and you are expected to follow the lesson plans, but then also answer student questions, and they will give you very hard questions and be able to further expand beyond the lesson plan to show that you fully grasp and understand the material. So you can't just superficially know the material, you have to deeply understand, either as an experienced pool operator or as an experienced lifeguard and aquatic supervisor who has picked up some information about pool operations as you go along. Then there is another exam. I don't remember what the second exam, the content was, but there was another exam and you did have to pass both. And then you had to have recommendations from your peer teaches. So you had to get, I believe, 4 out of 5 of your peer teaches had to be considered pass. And then the committee made an overall recommendation on your pass as an instructor candidate. So you could pass without reservation, or you could pass with reservation, which was requiring an in-person co-teach to then go and be certified to teach, or you could pass without the co-teach. So in my cohort, there were 15 of us, 12 passed, and I believe 1 or 2 passed with reservation, so they had to go and do a full co-teach in person with another experienced CPO instructor. And so then you're certified as an instructor. We have to renew every year. So there's a fee that we pay, and then there's professional development that we do. We also have to hold our CPO award, and we have to do professional meetings quarterly or twice per year, web meetings right now, with information to stay on top of trends. Content. Then there is also going to be, what is the other thing you have to do? And they audit your students. So every class that I submit, all of the student information on my roster, the Pool and Hot Tub Alliance sends out a feedback survey to students. And obviously not all students fill that in, but they read the feedback about each instructor from each student, and they collect it in files. And so if there's any concerns with your performance, they will address it with you. And if there's routine concerns with your performance or your compliance with how you run courses, then obviously you're subject to be reviewed. So currently, it is my understanding there's 1,000 certified pool operator instructors for the Pool and Hot Tub Alliance course in the world. That will be changing as we bring in Legacy Association of Pool and Spa Professional Instructors. So they're going to be working through the merger in the next couple of years. There are different programs in the different suites that I will be allowed to teach now and that others will be allowed to teach. So they're going to be working through that. And I can't speak to how many new instructors they'll be accepting in the next couple of years. But just to recap, a very long answer, I just want to say, yes, it's a great thing to do, but it is not easy, and you shouldn't do it unless you plan to actually use it and teach. They do not look for instructors who want to just have the award. They expect you to teach a minimum of 10 students per year, and that could be 2 public classes, 2 private classes, but you are expected to use it. And certain markets are prohibited from having more instructors. So I know Florida and Georgia have too many instructors. And so unfortunately, if you live in Florida or Georgia, they may not accept you in the initial intake. The cost is substantial. So for me as a Canadian, I had to pay in US dollars. And so for my course, it was $1,200 US for the course fee, plus all the materials, plus the travel. So my class that I was offered was in Puerto Rico. So I flew to Puerto Rico. I had a hotel for 4 days. I had meals. I had cabs. It was quite expensive, but it was worth it for me. And I'm very happy that I did it. And it's something that I love doing. But I will say that of the people in my cohort who failed, there were people who were great instructors, but not good operators. There were people who were great operators and not good instructors. And so you really do need to have a combination of both if this is something that you want to do. Always check with your state or your province as to other options. There is the Aquatic Facility Operator course in the United States. There are in different Starfish Aquatics, for example, they are going to be coming out with their own pool operator course. And so always, as you would with any certificate, do your research and determine if it's the right thing for you. Did I move to Alberta from Ontario? Tell us a little bit about my path. So I grew up in Ottawa. I was born in Toronto, Toronto being the big city most people know, Ottawa being the capital of Canada. I went to the University of Toronto for my undergraduate degree. And then I went to the Hebrew University of Jerusalem for my master's degree. After I finished in 2011, the economy was not so great. Still from 2008, there weren't a lot of jobs for new graduates, very similar to right now. There were a lot of unpaid co-op opportunities, but not a lot of real jobs with benefits or, career path options. So to make a long story short, I was at the University of Toronto as an aquatics supervisor, and I was trying to make the decision, did I want to stay in aquatics? Did I want to get a real job? And it was very hard to get interviews in the city of Toronto for a real job with my education background and experience. So I continued to work at the University of Toronto as an aquatics supervisor, but I did start applying to aquatic facility manager roles in Alberta. My cousin Marnie lives out here in Calgary, and she had said, well, We have lots of pools. Why don't you come out to Alberta for a bit and then go back to Ontario, which is a pretty common occurrence for Alberta, actually. And the best way I can describe it is the first job I applied for in Alberta, they called me for an interview within 3 hours. And so when I had been in Toronto and I had sent out hundreds of resumes and nobody ever called me for an interview and nobody ever offered me a job, the first couple jobs I applied for in Alberta, I was offered interviews within several days and I was offered jobs. So that was a big thing for me, being very practical. And Alberta, one of the things that we have in Alberta with aquatics is also that the jobs pay much better. So unfortunately, it's the reality of the situation. It's not meant to be a value judgment. It's just the reality of how the wages are in Alberta in relation to the aquatics industry. So when I lived in Ontario for my job, which was 30 hours a week, it wasn't 40 hours, but 30 hours a week back in 2011, right? I was making a good wage at 28 hours a week. I was making $34,000 a year, right? That was commensurate. It was not a full-time job. It was 28 hours a week. I was making, $20, $25 an hour. No, less than that. I was making, let's say, $18 an hour, $20 an hour. And then when I moved out to Alberta, aquatic jobs run from, in Ontario, perhaps they run from, let's say, 30 to 65,000 Canadian. In Alberta, aquatics jobs run from $65,000 to $130,000 Canadian. That will depend on the size of the facility, the size of the organization, your experience, and your seniority. But the first job that I was offered in a small community of 2,500, the pay range for aquatic facility manager was 65 to 80, right? Then at my next job at a larger city, the pay range was 70 to 85. Right? And then in a bigger municipality that's unionized with benefits, with seniority, you could make anywhere from 85 to 105, right? Like those are huge numbers for the aquatics industry, and it's just the reality. And so I'm not saying that every job in Alberta pays well. There are many YMCA jobs, many nonprofit jobs that don't pay that. But even the YMCA up the road from me, Seaton, which is a brand new YMCA, the second largest in the world at over 400,000 square feet, they're only paying 46,000 Canadian for an aquatics job. And that was not my experience in Ontario. So we've been in Alberta now for 8 years. The industry here has been very good to me. It's not perfect. It's not without challenges. I don't want to create a perfect picture and say, oh, Alberta's great and Ontario's bad, right? We already see enough of that in the media in Canada. I just like to let Ontarians or anybody know in Canada that my experience in Alberta has been that it is a place of opportunity for aquatics. We love being here. We love the outdoors. Obviously, the tax rates are also helpful, but it's different for each person what you need, right? So certainly if you have family where you are and it's difficult to move, it's difficult to move. But I always encourage people who are not tied to one place to consider moving, getting experience. And the other thing I'll say about Alberta before I move on is just that I was very lucky here in Alberta. We don't have the ageism that I experienced in Ontario. So in Ontario, even as a 25, 26, 27-year-old, there was a lot of ageism that I didn't have enough experience or seniority to be offered leadership courses. So I didn't have enough training or experience to be a trainer or a leadership instructor. I wasn't offered the courses that I needed to teach to advance my career. When I moved to Alberta, both the Red Cross, the Lifesaving Society, other organizations said, you don't have this or this? Oh, no, we want you to teach this. Why don't you have this training? Oh, no, we want you to teach courses or you have the experience. And so that's been really nice for me. I always tell people who are struggling at their current pool, there are other pools. Sometimes you need to leave your pool and go somewhere else and you'll be better valued than you are at your existing pool, because that is certainly something that I experienced working in the Greater Toronto area, that I was low on the totem pole. And out here in Alberta for aquatics, if you're qualified, you have the quals, you can go and teach. There's no red tape that way. So that's been really good. So part 1 and part 2, I'm going to show you these two questions. They kind of go together. So what made me decide to move from aquatic management to consulting? And then the next question I'll show you now, what made me decide to start my own business? So I'm going to start with part 2 and then go to part 1. These were questions that were left on the Padlet. So I decided to start my own business basically because I couldn't find one particular pool where I could teach leadership on the side. So back in 2006, we moved to Southern Alberta. We used to be in Northern Alberta. And while I was in Northern Alberta, I was an aquatic facility manager. And I also had a very robust side hustle, as many of you guys do, teaching at other pools. So in my town, I had my 40-hour-a-week job, and then I would contract or do jobs at other pools. I'd go here and teach a lifeguard instructor course. I'd go here and teach a first aid instructor course. I'd go here and do a co-teach for this leadership course. And so I had a pretty robust business teaching at surrounding pools and in the city. People knew that they could book me. Fast forward to 2016, we moved to Southern Alberta, and I was 4 hours away from my clients. And so that doesn't mean I don't see them. I do sometimes still do jobs for those clients. If I'm going to be north, I'll build in a couple of classes in 1 week. But initially, I didn't have any clients on the side. And I tried to get on at pools that I didn't know the aquatic facility managers, because I didn't want to get a side job at a pool and parachute in as a leadership instructor and a well-known aquatic facility manager and take classes away from other instructors. I just wanted to get classes that people, needed covered. So to make a long story short, I had a couple bad experiences at pools where it wasn't going to work out. And my husband had said to me, well, why don't you just start your own business? And I said, well, I'm lazy, right? I don't want to have a website. I don't want to have a logo. I don't want to have to find clients. Like, even right now saying this to you, it's exhausting to think about all of the work that you have to do to set up your own business. But he'd said, if you set up your own business, you can have all the money. And I had thought about it for a while, but I didn't do anything. I thought about it for about 8 months. I did not do anything until my husband had a stroke in 2016. And so I had taken a $15,000 pay cut when we moved from Northern Alberta to Southern Alberta because we needed a quality of life change for a location. And at the end of 8 months, that started to get kind of painful, right? When you make a lifestyle change and you don't necessarily, are we going to live on this money? Are we going to figure out what we're doing? And so I decided to start my own business. So I started Lakeview Aquatic Consultants. I created a website on Shopify. I paid somebody to do a logo, and I didn't necessarily know what I was doing initially. I tell every business owner, you just have to start. There's no roadmap. You just have to do it. You'll figure it out as you go. You'll make mistakes. Take your time. And I did this on the side. So to be clear, I had a day job and I had a side job, and I was very, very strict. This is so important, you guys. I was very strict about not doing it on my lunch break, on breaks, before work. I never used my work email for my side business. You need to be very clear, very transparent, very broken apart about what is your pool day job and what is your pool night job or your weekend job or your whenever job. So I did it on the side from 2017. It was a sole proprietorship. So I was self-employed. You have your personal tax deductions for mileage and office supplies. And then in 2018, I knew pretty quickly I wanted to be incorporated for liability reasons. So Lakeview Aquatic Consultants is the business. I am the principal owner, the founder, but I'm also an employee. So if something were to go wrong, you're suing Lakeview. You're not suing Katie Crysdale. And I continued as the side hustle into 2018, and the first year was fine. I think we made $10,000 the first year. We broke even. It was fine. The second year, though, it was crazy. I was so busy. I was exhausted doing evenings and weekends at my side job and 40 hours a week at my day job. And to make a long story short, I was already anticipating by summer of 2018 that I would quit my day job by 2020, that I was going to make a concerted effort to put away money, savings for that transition, because self-employed income is very erratic. And so I was starting to put away money and think about all the things that I wanted to accomplish while I still had municipal benefits and other opportunities. And then starting in September 2018, that actually came to fruition a lot sooner than I anticipated based on changes that were happening at my previous employer that were not positive. And so it's like, okay, well, am I going to look for a new job or am I going to do Lakeview? And so I made the switch to Lakeview. It was a no-brainer for me because I had been so busy. And I realized if I was able to dedicate myself full time, hopefully the business would grow more than it had when I didn't really advertise, and it still grew a lot. So 2019 last year was the first full year of me just doing Lakeview, and it was very successful. We doubled our revenue again. That doesn't mean that it's, a municipal job. I'm not making $100,000 plus benefits and pension, but I've really enjoyed it. You do have to work, though. This is a common misunderstanding. And a lot of people who perhaps have sent me messages about these webinars saying, why are you working so much? Why are you, you don't need to work so hard. People need to understand when you're self-employed, if you don't work, you don't eat. So if you see me working a lot, it is because the business right now for everyone during COVID is slow, right? You got to pay your bills, you got to stay busy. And so it is erratic. And if you only want to work 2,040 hours per year, if you don't want to work evenings, weekends, holidays, early mornings, late nights, after hours, you do not want to be self-employed, right? So I think this is the thing people need to realize. I love the flexibility. I love that I can take 6 weeks off and not work. But then I will also tell you, I have probably worked 1,000 hours in the last 2 months, right? Is that okay? Absolutely. I am totally fine with that investment. This community, the connections, the opportunities that this webinar series have afforded me have been amazing. I would not trade it for anything in the world. But I'm not going to lie to you and say, if you want an IV of cash every 2 weeks and you want health benefits and you want a pension, you need to seriously look at what you're leaving behind when you switch. So for example, my husband has medical conditions. He's older. I paid $10,000 last year in health insurance and dental care for us because it is very difficult to insure somebody who is older with medical conditions. You're going to pay for it out of pocket or the business is going to pay for it. When I was municipally insured, I paid maybe $50 a month in co-pays. So without going down that rabbit trail, I just want to expose you to the fact that the reality of starting your own business, it's you haven't really made it until you've made it. And I haven't made it, right? I still have to pay my bills. I still have to hustle to make revenue. I still have to, bang on doors, send messages, send emails, make calls, right? I still have to solicit business, especially in these conditions when business is not good for anybody, right? So I don't regret it. I love what I do. I love the flexibility of making my own schedule. But would I go back to a municipal job? Certainly, financially, if I had to, I would. If something happened and I needed the benefits or I needed the structure and I needed the certainty of a paycheck, I would. But you have to be comfortable in your own ability to do the work and actually do the work. A lot of people want to do the work or they think they want to do the work, but then when they're by themselves and nobody is watching, they don't actually do the work. Okay. So let me go back to part one. What made me decide to move from management to consulting? So part of it was taken out of my hands in terms of the changes that were happening at the organization I was at previously that I did not appreciate. And then also for me, I guess enough clients, enough friends, enough aquatic colleagues were coming to me for mentoring anyway that I thought, well, maybe I should start charging some people sometimes. I'm still very bad at charging. Anytime people email me, text, DM, call, 9 times out of 10, I'm doing it all for free as many times as they need to assist with the issue. But I guess for me, I was noticing that there was nobody to help aquatics people make that transition from being a guard or a leadership instructor to a facility manager. So many of us are great lifeguards, we're great instructors, but we don't know how to deal with our dry recreation manager or our dry community services director. That hand-holding of how do you do strategic planning? How do you do payroll? How do you do a budget? A lot of those things I've been very lucky to do in Alberta because I've been at small facilities or facilities that were run down, and I had the freedom to change everything and do everything. And so I've had the benefit in my short career of only, I'm 35. I've done a lot more than other people have done at facilities that have been static for many, many years. And so I'm happy to share that experience in a way that's meaningful, that people actually want. I'm not going to shove it down anyone's throat. I'm not the best. I don't have all the answers, but I do have a lot of answers, and I do spend a lot of time reading the internet, talking to people, collecting that information in a way that I think can be beneficial to people. Virus. None of us will ever forget the year of 2020. How is that going to change aquatics? I think it's going to change everything. And I think change is also perhaps the wrong word. I think we need to think about evolution and how we're evolving in aquatics. So when we say change after COVID, we're talking about the premise that everything was perfect or good or correct pre-COVID. And I'm not saying it wasn't, but I also don't think we should throw the baby out with the bathwater and think that everything was perfect, because it's not. What will we do differently after COVID? How can we evolve? I think there's going to be a better understanding of sanitation around facilities. How do we clean our change rooms, our decks, our floors, our doorknobs, our handrails, our windows? All of that is key. I also think there's going to be a better understanding of illness in the workplace, staff liability, and staff risk in swimming lessons. Okay. How many of you have had staff get injured teaching swimming lessons under normal circumstances, right? Kicks in the stomach, kicks in the ear, scratched faces, chipped teeth. Swimming lessons is a contact sport. And so I respect that people are now concerned about coronavirus transmission, but we always had injuries while we were lifeguarding and teaching swimming lessons. So I hope a benefit is that we better understand the risks and we can prepare, and our risk managers better understand and appreciate the hot, humid environment, high risk, high volume noise, heavy kids, slippery floors, all of those things we all live with. Those are all aspects that now everybody all of a sudden is going, oh my goodness, right? We're close to close. We've always had kids spit in our face, get vomit in our eyes, throw up on our shoulders, right? That is not news. That is just news to all these people out there that are germaphobes, okay? So what I wanted to say is that we're going to rebuild. I like what you're saying, Colleen. Now is a chance to change, to evolve, to look at our policies. Will we do those ourselves voluntarily, or will they be forced to change permanently? So will we be forced to have different service levels? Will we be forced to have different protocols? Not frozen. Okay, it's just my internet. Sorry. So I guess the long and the short of it is things will change. They will continue to change. Change is how you look at it. Change is perspective. I think it's a new opportunity. I said in our newsletter maybe 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, I'll put our newsletter archives link in the chat box for you guys. But in one of my newsletters, I basically said, now is the chance to change everything, and you need to jump now, and you need to take the opportunity to change everything you didn't like about your pool. So if you didn't like the safety and supervision plan, if you didn't like the guarding procedures, if you didn't like your photography policy, now is the time to go and change it, because when you open up your facility in 2 weeks, 2 months, whatever that looks like, then you have the benefit for the first time in a generation to change everything, and people will be okay with it because it's the fault of coronavirus. So I would encourage you guys to really think at what do you want to change, what wasn't working, what was a pain point, and address it. Saunas, steam rooms. The appetite from the clients here is that you need to have those assets, you need to have big change rooms. Whereas when I visit pools in Ontario, Ontario doesn't have budget or the desire currently to continue to build swimming pools to keep pace with the population growth and immigration in Southern Ontario. You see that gap being filled in by a lot of the swim schools, private schools in Southern Ontario. Box sea pools in Ontario. Different places like Newfoundland, Manitoba are all very different. So Winnipeg has new pools that are being built, private, Altea Active, Aqua Essence, H2O Academy. Out in Newfoundland, it's a smaller population. They have some beautiful new facilities like the Paul Reynolds Community Center, but then they also have older facilities like the Aqua Arena. When I'm in the US for my trips, it basically depends where we are. No state is the same. I spent a week in Arizona last summer in Scottsdale, and the pools there, mostly I was visiting hotels as well as recreation centers. It's very different whether you're a YMCA, whether you're a private member club, whether you're a five-star hotel. Generally speaking, I would say there's differences all over the industry in North America. And I also compare this for people who are like us, those of you who are here, aquatic facility managers, pool lifeguard background. There is a large difference in what we do in our lifeguarded pools from my clients who are pool operators in hotels, campgrounds, apartment buildings. So it's very important that you guys understand that we are the commercial side of the industry in the lifeguarded pools, but there is a large part of the swimming pool industry that is commercial, unlifeguarded pools, as well as residential. And so that for me as a certified pool operator instructor has been a huge eye-opener in the last 5 or 6 years. I mean, we've all had those crazy customers, like the lady where her boob falls out of her bathing suit, or the guy whose bathing suit is see-through, or just different situations. Naked customer comes out onto the pool deck because they forgot that they took their bathing suit off in the shower. People who don't think we can see them through the clear water as a lifeguard, and different things that they're doing illegally in the water. Criminal activity, funny stories. I had a colleague, she had a face infection once. She got scratched during swimming lessons, and she was going out on a date, and she put all kinds of makeup over the scratch and ended up getting a very bad viral skin infection. I've had employees get sick through basic accidents and injuries. You know, lifeguard who came into work and said, I can't lifeguard today because I got my nipples pierced or I got a tattoo, right? All of those things. I don't have any stories that are more unique than what you guys have experienced. But if we meet in person, I will think on this one further and share some of those stories. Last question. So a lot of people asked, how can they support me? How can they support the business? So thank you to those of you who've attended these webinars. I really do appreciate it. They are not paid. They have not been sponsored. It's all been my time, and I did pay for the software. So thank you to those of you who've been here, who've sent messages, who've sent emails, anything like that. If you are interested in supporting Lakeview Aquatic Consultants, which is my business, couple of basic ways. You can register for a certified pool operator course. The certified pool operator courses I run, those basically help pay my bills. That's how I pay my mortgage. So if you're interested in taking online courses, I will put the US Imperial and then the metric link in the chat box. So all of these courses are online until COVID physical distancing restrictions end. So I think we have at least another 1 or 2 months of these online classes. They are accredited. If you are wondering if they're accredited in your state or province, I've put together the list on our website so you can have a look. Basically, online courses are how I pay my bills. So if you're interested, please consider registering or referring somebody. You can take them in person with me in Canada when classes resume in person. And then in the future, I will be teaching occasionally in the US for another colleague. Also, I do speaking engagements and workshops. So if you're interested in having me at a conference or at an in-service or anything like that, I would love to be involved with that. And then if you are interested, somebody had asked me about a donation. You are certainly welcome to send something small via PayPal or check. I'm not going to solicit that, but if it's of interest to you, I do appreciate that. All of our contact information is on our website. I'll link to our contact form. I don't want to pressure anyone because that was not the point of these webinars, but certainly there have been expenses. And so if you if you appreciate. No, I know everybody appreciates it, but if you'd like to do something, taking a class or even following us on Facebook or Instagram is helpful, because then in the future we're able to get sponsor support for different projects by the number of people that we have who follow us on Instagram, or you can sign up for our newsletters. So sorry, there's lots of links coming your way. So that's Instagram, our newsletter sign up. We send weekly newsletters during COVID, monthly during non-COVID times. Facebook, if you don't follow us on Facebook, I did put the link earlier for those posts, but that's our Facebook link. And I was also going to put in, I should have mentioned this at the beginning, the last sticker sign up. So if you didn't get your chance for a sticker, that's my last call today for stickers. And I'm just looking to see, were there any other links I was going to give you? No. So that's how you can support me if you're interested in supporting me. Like I said, I teach courses. It's very hard to do right now. Business is very slow. So I've told this to several people, but it bears repeating. If I had work that I could have been doing, paid work, I would have been doing it, and the webinars would have ended sooner. But as you guys can imagine, a lot of facilities have done layoffs. They don't have any money. They're not operating. So the fact that I was able to do these webinars for 2 months gives you an idea of how slow business is right now. So if you can take a class with us or you're interested, I appreciate your support. And if you can't, that's okay too. So what's next? Basically, where we go from here is all of the POOLaide webinars are online. We are starting to work on a phase 2 of POOLaide. I thought I would have more developed. I don't today. So I would just say, if you're interested in seeing what we're doing in the future like this, follow us on Facebook or our email newsletter. We will make announcements as we get into finer details. At a minimum, we will be doing meetups when I start to travel again. So whether I'm in New York or Toronto or St. John's, I'll start putting up meetups on the Facebook page for different locations. And then when COVID starts to die down and I can reschedule a lot of our travel that we had planned, so Florida, Europe or Texas or Arizona, it'll be great to be able to do meetups in different locations, just informally, whether it's at a bar or a restaurant, and just connect with other pool people. So follow us on Facebook for the meetups. But I do have plans for programming and content in the future. So keep an eye on our Facebook page for that as well this summer. And then I guess the one thing I want to leave you with before my contact information is just to be inspired to show up and lead. So a lot of people asked me, well, why did you do this? Or how did you know to do this? And I had an idea. I had a gut intuition that people needed this. And so it was very important for me to just do it. One of the things I most appreciate about being my own business now is that I can be nimble like the private market expects me to be. So in the municipal jobs that I had, in the nonprofit jobs that I had, it was very much bogged down by red tape and paperwork and process. When you join the private sector as a for-profit company, you need to be nimble to survive. You need to be able to make a move, to communicate, to act fast, to pay your bills. And so the one thing I would encourage everybody in aquatics who's still here or watching this recording is just to show up and lead and figure it out later. I'm not saying do something dangerous, but just do it. Don't find reasons not to do it. Don't stop and think about it. Just do it like you're a 6-year-old and you don't care. Just do it. And that has, for me, brought me many benefits that I would not have otherwise had if I had been too scared, or I had counted myself unable to do it, or dissuaded myself from doing it at all. Okay. So this is my contact information. So thanks for those of you that have sat through this hour of just me. So again, I'm Katie Crysdale. My business is Lakeview Aquatic Consultants Ltd. We're based near Calgary, Alberta, Canada, but I do travel across Canada, and I'm excited that I'll be able to work in the US a little bit later this year. Facebook, you can follow us. Instagram, you can follow us. YouTube, newsletter sign up, our website. Anything you need, you can reach out via contact information. That's my cell phone. I do text. So if you're one of my former employees, I do now text. I didn't used to text. I text a lot. You can email me if you have an idea or a thought. If you're just not sure, you want a second opinion, I get all kinds of emails. No judgment, what you need or what you want. So thanks to you guys for being here today. If anybody has any other questions, I'm happy to address them. You can pop them in the chat box. I will be here for another few minutes. This will go up on YouTube later next week, but I am behind on all the show notes, obviously, from this week and last week, just because of the certified pool operator classes I've been teaching this morning, and then I'm starting another one tomorrow. So thank you so much, everyone. Ashley, yes, definitely coming to Austin. I have so many Texas pools that I'd like to see. And also in Austin, you have Flash Pool Productions, this underwater, I mean, there's many underwater photographers, but she does amazing work in Austin. So I would love to come to Austin. Thank you, Elizabeth, for your feedback. That's lovely. Glenn, mahalo, bye. Hopefully we can connect sometime in Hawaii when we get out there again. Thank you, Kathy. Have a great weekend. Thank you, Andrea. I'm so glad you've learned something from this. It's all I could ask for is that give back to the community that has helped me as much as it has. Edinburgh. So I was in Edinburgh 15 years ago, but I didn't see any of the pools. So I will add that to my list. So the floor of the deep end mechanically rises and falls as desired. So we do have some movable floors in Canada. We have quite a few in Alberta, actually. I would say 4 or 5 movable floors in Alberta. The YMCA's in Edmonton for sure. And then when I was in Las Vegas last year or the year before, unfortunately it was February, so the pools were closed for the winter. But one of the newer hotels on the Strip, I believe it was Planet Hollywood or next to Planet Hollywood, they have a movable floor where the pool actually drains underneath and then it creates a dance floor on the roof. So it can be a nightclub, which is pretty awesome. Thanks, Katie. We'll connect with you again. I'm just scrolling. Thank you, Ron. I appreciate you being here. What do I cover in the pool operator class, Marjan? I'm going to put a link in the chat box. So there are 18 topics that we cover in the Certified Pool Operator course. The link is going to have the outline at the bottom. So let me put this in the chat box and then I will address it, Marjan. So if you have a look at the link, I will pin it in the chat box. 1 second. Whoop. Okay, so the link I've put in the chat box, Marjan, this tells you all of the information that we go through in the Certified Pool Operator course. If you scroll down below the break on the page, you can see there's 18 topics that we cover. So the main topics that most people need are math calculation, so water volume, how to find water volume in a rectangular pool, a circle, chemical dosing, water contamination, disinfection, chemical testing, filtration, circulation, spawn therapy. It's a 2-day class, so it is 12 hours of content. I split it up over 3 days because I do find it's a lot more manageable, 3 4-hour days or 4 4-hour days with a bigger break in the middle. But if you have any questions, if you have any specific questions beyond the outline, do send me an email or contact us through the form on the website. I'll put that in the chat box now. And if you have specific questions, I'm happy to answer them. Let me just scroll back. Oh, yes. So those of you, Wednesday's show, so Wednesday, Elizabeth, so you know, we had a different speaker. Not sure if you're still here, Elizabeth, but the speaker on Wednesday called in sick. So we did not actually talk about budgets on Wednesday. We talked about some content that I had. I don't know if our speaker will reschedule. If she does, for any reason, reschedule, I can grab a recording and put it on YouTube. So I do apologize, Elizabeth, that one won't be available. Jean, thank you so much for